I'm going to tell you a story about a man named Jacob. Now, Jacob was a man of God, but he had not always been so. He had been a very worldly man in his youth. Mind you, that doesn't mean a bad man. He had lived his life as a good American and served his country in times of war. He had been a good husband and father and done his best to take care of his family. His marriage to his wife, Eleanor, had been rocky at times, but also great at times. And it was she who had finally, on her deathbed, led him to Christ before going to be with Jesus. "Jacob, Jacob," she had said, "don't forget to see Jesus. See him every chance you get, and your life will be full, and you'll have peace." And so the greatest day and the saddest day of Jacob's life had been on the same day. It was Christmas when he lost his wife, and Christmas when he accepted Jesus into his heart. And now, a year later, it was Christmas again, and he was praying for one thing for Christmas. "Please, God, let me see Jesus here on earth before I go to see him in heaven," he prayed. "Please, God, just help me to see Jesus." It was a week before Christmas, and Jacob was going to have a very busy day. He looked out his window to see what kind of day it was going to be, and noticed a man and a boy sitting across the street on a stoop, huddling together in the snow. He frowned because he thought he had seen them out there the night before too. Had they been on that stoop all night? No, he thought, they couldn't have been. He sat down for breakfast at the little table by his window and looked out again. They were still there. He realized with a shock that they might actually have been out there all night. He got his coat on and went out to investigate because he knew he'd have no peace in his heart until he knew that they were okay. When he went out and spoke to them, he found that he was right. The man's name was Raphael, and his son was Josh. Raphael had lost his job and his home, and they didn't have any place to go. And it was so cold out that they couldn't rest all night, so now that they were so tired too. Come in," Jacob insisted. "I have food and a warm place for you to rest. You can stay with me. And I have a friend who's always looking for good help. I can introduce you." "Oh, thank you, Jacob," they said. "We've been praying for God to send us help. Thank you." He gave them food, and after they ate, he showed them into the bedroom where they could rest. Jacob, satisfied that his guests were well fed and warm, I don't know where that little kid's going, actually. He gave them food, and after he was satisfied that they were well fed and warm, he put on his coat and went out again. First, he went to the hospital and visited a sick friend. He talked quietly with him and prayed with him. He gave him comfort, and then he left. Next, he went to the orphanage and gave goodie bags to the forgotten children. They were also happy to see that someone remembered them at Christmas. He gave out gifts, which they received gladly. And they said, "Thank you," like good children. Thank you. Next, he went to the local prison and visited with the prisoners who had no family. And he took them Christmas cookies that he had made himself. And the prisoner said, "Thank you," like a good prisoner. It was late when he left the jail, and he walked home in the snow. And it snowed, and it snowed, and it snowed. Man, so much snow. Snow, 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 snow. Anyway, enough with the snow. Anyway, he came home and sat down at his table to pray. He was so tired, and I think the snow, I hope, was tired too. So he came home and he sat at his table and he prayed. God, he said, please help me see Jesus before I die so that I can have peace. But this wasn't a night like any other night. I'm sorry. Josh? Josh? Yeah, thank you. This wasn't a night like any other night. Tonight was a special night because he heard God's voice in his heart, just as if he were right there in the room. Jacob, Jacob, said God, don't you know me? I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was homeless, and you gave me shelter. I was sick, and you prayed for me. I was forgotten, and you remembered me. I was a prisoner, and you visited me. Anytime you did these things for even the least of all people, it's the same as if you did it for me. Jacob, Jacob, your day has been filled with me. I am your peace. Now, Jacob had had a lot of aha moments in his life, but this was the biggest one of all. Aha! That was what his Eleanor had meant. She had wanted him to share the love of Jesus with everyone he could, because when we love the ones that Jesus loves, it's the same as loving him, the same as seeing him, the same as being full of him. Jacob went to his bed that night with a wonderful sense of peace as he discovered once again the wonderful goodness of God. This Christmas and New Year, as you rush around with all your shopping and visiting, we hope that you don't forget that Jesus is a shelter to all who need to rest. He's bread for the hungry, and he came to earth as a man so that he could visit with the prisoners, then died to set them free. If you need peace in your heart, just love the ones that he loved. Remember that he loved you to the death, and you'll discover again, if you've forgotten it, you'll rediscover the very goodness of God. We hope that you have a Merry Christmas and pray that you have a Christ-filled, blessed New Year. Thank you.